I'm back from Seattle Regionals, and I did it! I got the mat. I topped the Regionals with an X1 record, finishing 6th place, top 8, and it was quite the ride with Kashtira. Yes, the deck that I've been talking about non-stop. This is the deck that I'm going to be talking about, but I'm going to make a different video in the future about meta trends, because I learned a lot in this unhinged format where everything is at full power, and probably the direction where things are going to go. Oh, before we start, I get to give out shoutouts this time. So, first of all, shoutouts to Nishi for driving down and just being an overall good support for the entire event. Then there's Phil for playtesting, Calvin Tam from Team Jobber, Head Judge, and the entire judge team. I guess it was Daniel and the rest of the judges. Thank you guys for, taking care of all the players out there, and anyone else that came to say hi. For my matchups, I played against 2 Tearlaments players, one at the end and one near the end as well. 2-0, 2 of them. One Tearlaments Kashtira. I lost this one, 1-2. 2 Sword Souls, 2-0 that one. Exorcister, 2-0. Dinosaur 2-0, and Kashtira Mirror Match 2-0. I had basically the same hand where I had 3 cards and I can only really play 1 card, and that's just not enough to hold the board while they have a unicorn on the field, and that's basically an OTK. So that's probably where I died. As for the other matchup, it was kind of cool. It was Dinosaurs. Surprisingly, it was the Dinosaur because Dinosaur UCT is pretty good. Lost Roll's also pretty good against Kashtira. Luckily, I managed to dodge the whole Lost Roll scenario, and I got lucky on the Banish. When I ripped the card from the extra deck, I saw like a Scrap Wyvern. I'm like, I don't know what to hit with this deck, so I hit the Scrap Wyvern. It killed the entire Scrap combo, so that was good too. And that kind of brings up to the point where I'm like, oh, there's actually a lot to the extra deck that you have to think about in the future. But anyways, those were the matchups. Okay, for the deck list, I start off with the 3 Fenrirs and the 3 Unicorns. You need to know your opening plays of Unicorn, but you need to know your Fenrir extension lines better, because that just means you don't have Unicorn. Unicorn, sure, is a free play. If you get it through, you win. But Fenrir, you need to work at it, and you need to combine it with Rise Hearts, your other additional extender summons like Kashtira, Scareclaw, or Tearlaments Kashtira, those guys. You just need to know how to work your line to get 3 monsters on board with the Fenrir, and then you'll be able to play properly, because that's how you deviate from like a linear play where everyone can kind of predict, to something that like, hey, hold on a second, I disrupted him and he still built the board. This is how you should play so that it's not as predictable, and that's probably what gave me a slight edge in the event. A lot of people thought that I only had 1 play, and then I extended in something else. So yeah, how did I do it? Well, I can kind of talk about it about Rise Heart. Rise Heart helped me extend a lot of boards. It's not really that good, so I still think playing 2 is correct. But what it allowed me to do is like I get to banish like Theosis, add a card back, and sometimes I banish the card that I'm going to add first, just so that I'll have a Theosis engraved, and I follow up with one of the extender summons like Scareclaw, banish the card, add the birth back. Now I have birth again. I can definitely extend even harder, and yeah, that's kind of how you do it with this guy. You just need to know what you can banish properly, and it's a cost, so they can't really even stop it. So negating this is almost pointless aside from not giving me a 7. Moving on, Scareclaw Kashtira for Theosis, only for like battle purposes for the most part, just for the extra damage to push into it. I use this to kill a Baguska because I can attack in defense mode, so that's good for me. It's not like an activated effect or anything. There's also Tearlaments Kashtira. This card, fantastic for starting, because if you have this card and you set up the Rise Heart first, then you can attach a bunch of materials under it by first summoning it. You have to banish, it will attach to Rise Heart, and then the mill 3. I like to, if I have Rise Heart up, I like to mill 3 of my opponent's card just to see what they're playing, and then with that I can attach another card too. So it really works out as the better opener, personally. And I do play Ogre. Ogre was good for damage and searching the trap. I thought that there's going to be more people playing Imperm and hit me with an Imperm. I just want to put a little bit of dilemma on them if they want to Imperm me, but I also wanted survivability. From time to time, it's just really awkward when they have to make a choice, because when you have the trap up, they have to give up a card in their hand just to hit you with an Imperm. So it costs them more. I get hand knowledge, and it's really rough for them. I also played the Enchantress package, the Brave package. I sided out going second when I'm trying to crack boards because it's just not good enough and too many restrictions. I only keep the Griffin Rider because it's level 7 and it's a free summon, and I can find ways to extend with it. Triple Ash Blossom for Book of Eclipse and all sorts of just different points of interaction. Just don't hit Unicorn, because they'll rip 2 important monsters. They'll rip 2 of the same monster that's really necessary for combo, and now you're playing from behind regardless, because now small disruptions will basically end your turn. Triple D Shifter, I used it 3 times throughout the entire event. One time it was a 6-card draw. It was great, but that was not when I used it. The one time I used it, the first time was against Exorcister. It was terrible. It was a neg 1 essentially. I would rather have a discard outlet at that point. The other 2 times was against Tearlaments, and it was instant fusion. I let them do it. Sharon, activate D shifter, and then that was the hard punish. It was really good, and that's what Kashtira is all about. A bunch of cards that are hard punish counters, and then you just use a 1-card combo to counterplay. And the last 2 cards is 2 lava golems, which either the Book of Eclipse or this will double up in number. Spell-wise, I have Terraforming and the 3 planets, 3 copies of Theosis, and the add back effect is really important. I had my opponent mill too many of these away, and it was a struggle, but I got back because I got lucky, because I top decked into Birth. Birth, I want to play a 3rd copy, I just don't have the space, and I just don't want to draw too many copies. But there are times where I do miss this. I want the normal summon. The normal summon is very important, but it kind of conflicts with the lava golem, so maybe playing 2 was correct for me today. I played 2 copies of Book of Eclipse. I need board breaking. People are playing anti-spell as like a way to counter, so having Book of Eclipse plus like another side card will just out the entire board, and you can definitely just start playing no problem. Like, this is a blowout card. I don't know why we didn't play it more often, but it is a hard commitment, because if you don't clear the board, you lose. 2 Book of Aramesir. I side them all out. I side all these guys out when I go second. But going first, I need the negation. I know they are really good at breaking my board, so I just want to max out on like free negations and like free ways to just set up some more cards. 3 Pot of Prosperity. I banished Goliath with this all the time, but you know, this is just good for digging for 1-card combo. 1-card combo decks should always find a way to just dig super hard, as long as they don't need to draw. As for the trap cards, 1 Big Bang and 1 Preparations. Big Bang, I Big Banged my own board once, and I won because of it, because I did an Ibli play. I'll talk about that in a second. As for the Preparations, this is good for sometimes, like, how do I put this? It's not good just locking out your opponent's zones, because you know they can counter you. So having a way to follow up, putting 2 Kashtira monsters on board was good. I used this once. I didn't really get to use it very much more because I do side it out, especially when going second. So that's just how it is. But the theory behind it is that sometimes board breaking is not very good. And for me, I used it so that if I think that zone locking is not going to work, I would just slap the Arise Heart on top of my Shangri-Era so that I don't proc the Shangri-Era, so they can't slap a free Arise Heart. But the second part is I can detach my Shangri-Era away, and then I can use Preparations to revive it back before the standby phase or during standby phase, and then I will be able to activate the effect, revive a monster or summon another monster from my deck, and then I can slap an Arise Heart right away in the main phase. So that's kind of like my thought behind it. That's how you can get your Shangri-Era banished without the requirement of a D shifter, and that's one way for me to play it. Extra deck, 2 Kashtira, Arise Heart, 2 copies of Shangri-Era. If you look at your opponent's extra deck and you see Shangri-Era and Arise Heart, just don't activate your own Shangri-Era. That's my best advice, okay? The other thing is the Arise Heart. It always activates, so if Fenrir's there, you're going to lose your Arise Heart. It's just that simple. Then there's 2 copies of Zeus, second copy to deter them from ripping it out. But sometimes I feel like I could trade one of the Zeus for an extra Big Guy, because Big Guy got ripped out every time as a result. So you can kind of redirect the attention around your extra deck depending on how many cards or copies that you play. Big Guy is a big blowout if you got it, but I never got to summon it. So I know it's really good, because through testing, this thing was just the card to hit every single time, even over Zeus. So letting them have the Zeus, why not? But Zeus did win me a lot of games, because Zeus, you can just slap a Rise Heart, hit something, put Zeus and wipe the board. It's all free. The other 2 cards, we have Diablosis, the Mind Hacker, and Draco Sack. Draco Sack can generate the tokens, which are normal monsters, and you could put a Draco back on it. It did happen on the Exorcister matchup. And I bounced back the Floodgates, cleared some cards. It was really neat, and I loved using this card. This card performed really well for me, and even theoretically under skill drain, you can just tribute itself, pop the skill drain if you really need to. So that's really good. As for Diablosis, the Mind Hacker, I saw people play more than 1 copy of this. I played 2. I'm like, well, there's really no point in playing 2. Guys, going first, you would use this to lock out zones, but going second, you should be board breaking and going for kills, not summoning this thing to lock zones out. It doesn't make any sense. If they banished this, I'd be so happy. I got to keep Zeus, I got to keep Big Eye, and I think it's a really big bait and a big waste of space if you play the second copy. But that's my opinion, and I didn't need it, and I felt like that was correct. As for a card that I would double up, Lingaribo, this card is so necessary when it comes to Ibli. When they drop an Ibli on you, you're either not playing at all, or you have an out, and this is the out. But when I drop the Ibli and I do a Diablosis and look at their extra deck and I see a Lingaribo, I'm taking that Lingaribo out, and I did. And it was a big struggle for them. They just couldn't do anything. It's like, oh man, if you didn't take away my Lingaribo, I would have been out the board. Well, the reason why I took out your Lingaribo is so that you can't out the board. So a second copy would have basically deterred me from doing it. And then it's like so weird. The extra deck building, I'm going to talk about that more in the future. But yeah, that's one card that's 100% going to change. And as for the next 3 extra deck monsters, these Link monsters, Goliath came up for the protection of Arise Heart. So if it's attached, it's good. Donor is good for clearing boards and just following up with like a unicorn or a Fenrir. Just a free summon to follow up is really good. And also can clear the Ibli if you normal summon an Ash or something like that. And there's Cherry Beanie just for the tokens coming from the Draco Sack so that you can go into your Water Enchantress. Last 2 cards, we have Kikalos and Elf. These are, of course, going to be banned next format, so we're going to be replacing them like this. This is mainly just for a target for Reaper. This was my follow-up with my Cherry Beanie, so this is how they're going to go now. For now, I haven't really thought about it. Maybe this can be a big eye. That's just a thought. Or maybe I can just play another 7 that can blow up cards on the field. I'll be thinking about that later on, but this is what I played. And I used Reaper once, and I lost. Yeah. It was supposed to be really good, but I just didn't have a follow-up, so I died. So yeah, that was round 1. Okay, Triple Solemn Judgment. This is just for coverage for, you know, if you have this plus Ash plus Ibli, you win the match as long as you have one thing to start a mini combo, because they're never being able to play, and they can't hand trap you, lava golem you, they can't do anything. It's a really mean way to play, but hey, it's a complete blowout. 1 copy of Book of Eclipse for going second, so now you have 3 copies of Book of Eclipse. 3 copies of Ibli. This is the MVP. So how do you start your turn? This is a hard draw. This is not something that you can fetch normally. If you want to find a way to fetch it, maybe you should look into Small World Lines to dig this card out. Not the easiest card to dig out in my opinion, because it just really lacks a stat to match anything of any that you can search. But if you start with this, summon special summon, then drop the Ibli, drop it over there with the Lingaribo, they can't really evenly match you anyway, and the Lava Golem also gets turned off. Speaking of which, evenly match, triple. Evenly match paired with Book of Eclipse can crack almost any board that I faced off, and it was really good. Triple Reaper, I'm probably gonna not play this in the next build, so this is something that's coming out, but I did this to my first opponent where I took out the Kikaloses, but they wanted to roll Kalos and still had the Unicorn, and I also will have to pay for that particular play because Unicorn was on board as the first monster, and yeah, I lost my opportunity to break the board. Not to mention that my hand was like not very good. And 2 Dark Ruler, no more. I think you should still play Dark Ruler. It's still very powerful. Sprite's still a very strong deck, and a lot of decks still can't eat this, so that's the side deck. That's how I played. This right here is an actual game state that occurred in the tournament. This is round 1, game 2. After I lost round 1, I decided to build the full board. But before I jump into it, can you guys check out MSTmerch.com for me? Because we have launched our new mats and our new sleeves. We have a new Carbon Series sleeves. Carbon Series is the same series as the white ones. We have now Carbon Series Onyx Black. These are awesome. They feel exactly like whites, except that the color, it took a while for us to get it done because we wanted an exclusive like black tint color. And yeah, this is kind of like a metallic black, a gunmetal black. It looks really cool. Shuffles really, I used it through the entire tournament. And the other thing I used was the mat, which was very beautiful. I'm probably just gonna like put overlay images on top of here, but like this is super vibrant, super nice, and comes in 2 colors. I was using blue side the entire time, but the red side is super vibrant. But if I use the red side, people would probably think Kashtira too soon, so I don't want to do that. But anyways, let's get into this board state. So this board state actually has a misplay in here. The misplay, if you guys can point out, is right here, the Mind Hacker. Why is this in attack position? If this wasn't in attack position, I would not have needed to use the Big Bang, but sometimes Big Banging your own board is correct, and I'll show you guys exactly why. So I thought that, you know, you can just banish your own Lingaribo and they have nothing to hit, but I made a misplay, so I'm just going to play it out as it was. I activated my Arise Heart, and I detached 3, and I banished my Lingaribo face down. Arise Heart's effect activates because it's mandatory. I reattach the Unicorn, as well as activate the Theosis and add back the Rise Heart. So that's how you kind of maximize on the resources. But the problem is this is still in attack position, And so I'm like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? And my opponent revealed to me he had evenly matched and lava golem. So the moment this thing was gone, if this dies, I'm getting evenly straight up. And I was really worried about Book of Eclipse too. So this was here. This was just extra security, but I didn't want to use this. And even if this wasn't here, I would have been okay in this scenario where this was only for Book of Eclipse. There was nothing else I was going to use it for. So the biggest problem is when he tried to attack into this, and before he got a chance, I activated Big Bang and I cleared my own cards. I banished these two face down. I kept the Arise Heart face up, and these two got banished because it just was gone. And then the effect of Big Bang activates while it got banished. I got to target the Arise Heart. I detached, and then I resummoned out this, and now we're in this scenario. And the evenly matched and lava golem still could not be played. So he goes into main phase 2, summons a monster, links it off, and he's like, oh my god, I can't even drop the lava golem anymore because I normal summoned. And the game, as you can see, more or less over with this left on the field. So this combo here is Fenrir Birth. I did it to quite a few opponents where I just OTK'd them on the spot. It's fairly simple. But this one I played through one disruption where this card gets booked face down. And booking this face down might not be the best idea, but they booked it anyway. So I special summoned it and they booked it face down. So they used their second card, which is D-Barrier, so I'm locked out of my extra deck. So let's just remove this. So this is done. So what do? I activated Birth. I normal summoned out the Fenrir. I activated Fenrir's effect. I'm like, I need to load another monster on the board. And since I didn't use the Unicorn, I'm like, I'm just going to get Rise Heart. I'm going to special summon Rise Heart in attack position. And then I'm going to activate the Rise Heart. I banish another copy of Unicorn. Activate Birth, revive the Unicorn, activate the Unicorn, get Theosis, activate Theosis, targeting Unicorn. I summoned out Scareclaw, and then I went to the battle phase and I just attacked for game because this is 9,000 damage. I can clear also one monster along the way. Everything I attack gets negated. That's like one of the short OTKs, so you need to know your different Fenrir lines with Rise Heart. Alright, final Fenrir, Theosis, maybe Scareclaw or Tearlaments line. So starting off with the special summon of Fenrir, activate the Theosis, targeting this. We're summoning out our Unicorn. Unicorn doesn't really do anything except for give us Birth now, but it's still good. It's part of the combo. Activate the Unicorn to get Birth, activate the Fenrir to grab Rise Heart. And the last card in our hand is going to be our Scareclaw Kashtira. It could be the extender. I mean, even at this point, you know you can do the Diablosis play, but I'm going to show you what I went for. Special summon out the Rise Heart. Overlay these two, the Fenrir and the Unicorn, into Shangri-Ira. Activate the effect of Rise Heart, and I banished the Ogre this time. Okay, so with the Ogre here banished, activate the effect of Shangri-Ira. Of course, they milled 3 for this. This is level 7 now. So this has activated. We're going to activate the Birth now. Birth effect, target the Ogre. Well, it doesn't target. Just special summon out the Ogre. Ogre effect, grab the preparations. Wow, all these cards are free. And now, first of all, before you overlay into anything else, make sure you get into an Arise Heart. Arise Hearts first. Then you activate the Scareclaw Kashtira, banish Theosis, and special summon out the Scareclaw Kashtira. The effect of Arise Heart will go off. You can get the Theosis attached. Then you can overlay these two into Diablosis. Activate the effect of Diablosis, which will banish the material. Do the whole milling shenanigan, lock 2 more zones, and keep attaching cards. Attach a card the first time from your opponent. I don't even know. I don't have cards to represent that. So attach a card from your opponent. Attach your own like Scareclaw Kashtira if you need to. If you want to be greedy, you can detach now to add back your Scareclaw Kashtira if you want to. But you don't really need to do that. You can also just leave preparations available, so you have a board that somewhat looks like this. And the thing is, even if your opponent hits you with an evenly match, you can just activate a Rise Heart, making sure that you can retrieve a resource with the Theosis, and you're going to be banishing one of your cards face down. And since everything is going to go at the same time, they're going to get banished, and the Theosis can fetch back your Unicorn, and then you can just leave the preparations up so that when your opponent decides to do anything, you can go preparations, revive a Fenrir. That's like the play that I kind of went for, and that's one of the plays you can do if you have the preparation thing going on. And that's it for my top 8 Seattle Regional deck profile for Kashtira. I did not play the Barrier statue. I just want to play something that matches closer to the new format. And yeah, it was pretty good, but I think it's gonna get a lot harder, and I'll talk about that in the meta trend video. So thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, smash that thumbs up button for me. If you guys want to see more stuff, maybe I'll talk about Kashtira some more, like different engines that you can play. Even Gold Pride. I saw a Gold Pride engine there. That was really cool. I saw some Punk engines, but I really want to see how it really splashes in with the Punk stuff personally. But that's for a future video. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.